Hey, Brianna here. So I worked on the In the Trenches project. So the first thing that I did was make a Twitter account. And I knew that I was going to have to do something regarding the coronavirus because that is literally all that is in the news right now. So I went over to ABC News and I found one of the videos where an interviewer was asking Dr. Anthony Fauci why the deadline was extended, what brought him to that point. And that is where I found a comment. So Rick 000000758 said, Trump said he hoped didn't say it would. Now Dr. Fauci say 200,000 can die. How does that happen if we shelter in place? I don't know. I do know that 6,303 recovered. I also don't know what a positive test means. I do know that the MSM loves panic. Okay, so there were a few things about this that bothered me. Okay, that starts with, how does that happen if we shelter in place? We're not under a strict quarantine. There are essential workers and there are people who show mild to no symptoms that could be carriers of the disease. So this scientific projection was not intended to create panic, but to warn us what could happen if we don't listen to social distancing and if we do just automatically go right back to the way we were living by Easter. The next thing that bothered me is something didn't sound right with 6,303 recovered. So I went and checked how many actually recovered in the United States. And it was only 5,506. So the last thing that really bothered me about this was I also don't know what a positive test means. So obviously my goal here was just to simply inform him that positive tests means that anyone who has the virus inside of them will test positive for it. And while 5,506 people have recovered, 3,148 have lost their lives. So if we don't continue to maintain our social distancing stance, those numbers could level off very easily. And I also just wanted to make a claim here that in this original post, the intention was not to cause panic, but just to inform people as to why this educated decision was made. So that's what I did. And then I got a reply. So Rick 000000758 replied to me about a few hours later, and he said, I know the recovery and deaths. I look at it every day. My question is, what does positive mean? Does it mean it will turn bad or you just tested positive? And the mainstream media does love panic. Listen to the gotcha question they asked the president. Okay, so I really wanted to reply to this comment, but I decided not to. And that's because you could kind of tell the difference between someone that you can inform and someone who is already stuck in their ideas. There was no gotcha question in this video that I watched. The president was mentioned once, but it was simply factual. And I don't understand what does positive mean. If everyone who tested positive would turn bad, that would mean that the over 100,000 people who already tested positive would be on deathbeds right now. So thinking about how civic engagement over social media works in this way, I feel like it's easier to be able to talk to someone about issues like this face to face where they can't really deny the facts. I feel like all over social media there's misinformation and biased opinions, so it's difficult to be able to make someone see the light. In a way, I feel like it is our civic duty to respond to all of this misinformation because there are so many people out there who are claiming that the mainstream media is spreading disinformation. And while the media does have disinformation campaigns and there is a blur there as well, I feel like it's much more prominent in the comments section of all of these media outlets. So I also did one other thing, and that was I wanted to see a more local news story to me. So I'm from Queens, and I went on the New York Post. So I went and replied to a comment on under an image of part of the US Open Stadium in Queens being turned into a hospital amid the coronavirus. Someone commented, and I quote, "And no one will be there." So this is something that really bothered me because Queens is pretty much the epicenter right now of this virus. So I went back and commented to him, 13 people perished in one day at the Elmhurst Hospital. A woman discharged from New York Presbyterian died minutes after discharge. Do you think that maybe those extra beds could prevent something like this from happening, being that we are the epicenter of this quickly spreading virus? So Adam Burns did not respond to me, and I checked out his profile. I believe that it's because he's from North Carolina. He's not from New York, so he doesn't understand the real impact that this is having on people like us over here. So I think that that's another issue with social media, is that just people who have little or no connection to what is actually going on still make wrong, false comments. Overall, I feel like by sharing that and maybe having a few other people get to see that, it could change their minds. But at the same time, it's a difficult thing to do. Thank you.